we got some things to talk about. First, we got to talk about the man, the myth, and the legend, Terron Armstead. And then we got to talk about frickin' Tyreek Hill again. Let's get into it. Dolphins fans, thank you for checking out my channel. I appreciate it. Have a few things we need to talk about. I wasn't really planning on making a video today, but seems like every day that I plan on not doing a video, a bunch of stuff happens. I wasn't really expecting this to come out of today's interview and press conference with Mike McDaniel, but here we are, and we're going to get into all of this. Obviously, today at the Combine, Mike McDaniel gave his press conference. There was no Chris Grier there, one of 3 GMs out of the league that was not at the Combine today giving meetings or giving press conferences. Way to go, Chris Grier. I'm sure he doesn't want to take questions right now, and I can kind of understand why. However, got to suck it up, bud. Answer those questions. That's kind of part of your gig. So anyway, Mike McDaniel gave his press conference today, and he said a lot of interesting things. Number one, let's talk about the easy stuff. First off, Jevon Holland. Jevon Holland is likely gone. I've been saying that since the end of the season. Actually, before the end of the season, I've been saying he's probably going to be gone. And it looks more and more that way. Today, during the press conference, Mike McDaniel said that Jevon Holland has earned the right to test free agency. Mike McDaniel has said that on a few other different occasions throughout the few years that he's been with Miami. And every time he has said that, that player that he was referring to has gone on to greener pastures or moved on somewhere else. So, one more thing pointing towards Jevon Holland leaving the Miami Dolphins this year. And I still don't think it's the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of people talking about, oh, we should re-sign him. We should get him going again. Jevon Holland, he's not that good. I'm sorry. He hasn't been playing well. He's cost us, a good amount of money, and he hasn't done much. How can you pay that man the money that he wants? Top dollar for safeties in the NFL. And how can we pay him that much when he's playing like a bottom half of the league? So, Jevon Holland's probably not going to be back with Miami, and if you have a problem with it, I mean, there's not much we can do either way, but I suggest that you start getting yourself comfortable with the fact that we are not going to have Jevon Holland this year. Next, I want to talk about, I want to talk about somebody on this team who is the consummate professional, a captain of our team, a leader, and an all-around great man. The man, the myth, the legend, Terron Armstead. This guy, he amazes me in almost every way. Not just with gameplay, not the way he is on the field, the way he is off the field, the things he does for the community of Miami, the things he does for the NFL, and fundraisers, representing those things, and even the way he treats other players on and off the field, but also the way he treats new players coming into the league. He helps so much with so many things. I'm always blown away with how great he is. Today, during the press conference, Mike McDaniel said that they don't know. He hasn't made up his mind if he's going to play or not this year. But Mike McDaniel said that because of that, the Dolphins are treating it like he's not going to be back this year. And that's a smart thing to do. If he's not sure, they really need to act like he's not going to be there. That way they're not shocked. Now, if he's not back, it doesn't really affect us on the field too much. Not like, we have to go find somebody to play. We have somebody in second-year player, Chris Paul, who can play that position. He has a backup, and he's been working with him, and I really don't think the fall-off is going to be that much. So if Terron Armstead does not come back, which it's looking like he won't, The Dolphins are treating it like he's not going to be playing, which means Paul is going to be getting a lot of the reps in off-season and camp and all that stuff, and they're going to be treating him like he's going to be their starting tackle. Now, the interesting part of all of this is Terron is unsure if he's going to come back. Now, knowing this and knowing the pinch that it's going to put the Miami Dolphins in, Terron Armstead took care of that today when he went in and reduced his contract to the league minimum. Unreal. So selfless. Not selfish, selfless. In reducing his contract to the league minimum, Terron Armstead went from $28 million this year in money down to the league minimum, which is not hardly even, just I think it's just over $1 million for his position. So knowing that, I think that money it saves us so much money. And on the cap, for the cap space for our team, it saves us $14.5 million. Essentially, that gives us $14.5 million under the cap, just like that. So we go from, before the league adds the extra money to the salary cap that we're supposed to get, we go from $1 million under the cap in the green to $15.5 million in the green right now. Right now. Because of the selflessness of Terron Armstead. He took a hit for this team so that they can succeed next year. What this tells me, now also I wanted to cover this really quick too. If Terron Armstead would have gotten cut before June 1st, it would have saved us $4.5 million. So doing this now, by him taking the league contract to a minimum, he saves us $14.5 million. That's an additional $10 million that he saved us just by a swipe of his pen and a hit to his personal bank account. He didn't have to do that, ladies and gentlemen. And I wanted to say that and clarify that. He did this for the Dolphins because he's a good guy. He didn't do it for any other reason. It wasn't a selfish reason. I'm seeing all over the internet people talking all kinds of smack. And it's Dolphins fans. It grosses me out when I hear some comments on Facebook and Twitter from people saying things like, no, he didn't take a hit. He just did that so that he wouldn't get cut. What? That doesn't even make sense. So instead of addressing it any farther than that, I just wanted to clarify. It's no other reason than the fact that he's being a good guy and he's helping the Dolphins out. Kind of like he did with the restructure last year. He didn't have to do it. He would have made more last year, his last year in the league, which is what I think. I think he's going to retire. This also sets him up so that he can retire. And this also makes it to where he doesn't have to be a post-June 1st cut. This makes it to where he can retire and not have himself count against the post-June 1st cuts, because we only get 2 of them. Remember, I was talking about that post-June 1st cut, and I said, watch out for Terron Armstead. Now, yeah, it would have saved us about the same amount of money if we did a post-June 1st cut on him and not cut him now, but then we would have had no money for the beginning of... This gives us $14.5 million right now. So this gives us money right in the beginning of the first round of free agency. We would not have had that if he would have taken a post-June 1st cut. He also wouldn't have gone straight into the retirement pay and everything. So doing that, he's helping Miami. We're getting money now. And you add the $25 million that we're about to get from the league cap increase, and that takes us to $40 million, just over $40 million that we're going to have for the first round of free agency. That is incredible. And no amount of appreciation, at least from my point of view, I'll never be able to communicate my appreciation or how much I appreciate Terron Armstead and what he just did. All you Dolphins fans need to really think about this. If you don't think Terron Armstead did a solid for Miami and for the fan base and for his team, if you don't think that, I really want you to try really hard to look into this matter a little more. Maybe try to understand salary caps and contracts, and you'll understand what he just did. He took one for the team in every way. That post-June 1st cut that we now don't have to waste on Terron Armstead, because like I said, I think he wants to retire. He's just probably not quite sure yet. And this way, this all works out perfectly for Miami. Saves us a gob of money. Doing this helps him to retire later, as it nears the end of the year, into the preseason, and it also helps us to move on from him and to find players that we need to help fill this roster. It's an amazing thing that Terron Armstead did, and I just can't say it enough. My appreciation for him goes beyond football. And my respect for him does too. So, Terron Armstead, if you don't come back next year, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're never going to see this, but I'm still going to say it. I appreciate you for everything that you've done for this team. You're a consummate professional, and you deserve nothing but the utmost respect and adoration from Miami Dolphins fans, players, coaches, and front office. Thank you. Now, moving on from Terron Armstead here, it hurts my heart to even take his picture off of my screen. Yikes. Doing that, having Terron Armstead make himself not a part of that post-June 1st cut level, that leaves it open for somebody else. Do you want to know what I think? This is the perfect transition into today's episode of Reek Speak. So let's talk about this. And here, try to follow me on this. Today at the press conference, Mike McDaniel, when asked about Tyreek Hill and his surgery, spoke a lot about it and was very candid, very open about this situation with Tyreek and his surgery. He said, yes, Tyreek had surgery. Yes, he's doing well. He's not going to be catching anytime soon, but he's going to be ready to go for the beginning of preseason. And preseason camp. He's going to be ready to go for that. He also said that it was not a broken bone. He said that it was a tendon issue. Does anybody understand why that's a big deal? So let's talk about this. When I was listening to his press conference and hearing Mike McDaniel speak on this, number one, does anybody remember a time when Mike McDaniel was actually open about the player's injury? That's never happened. He never says what the injury is. He never talks about it. He never gives a timeline, ever. He's never said, oh, he'll be ready by this amount of time. He'll be ready to go for this. He's never said that. In over 3 years of watching his press conferences with the Dolphins, he's never once done that. He's always deflected and refused to answer questions about player injuries. He's been very vague. And here we are talking about Tyreek, and he straight up just says it. It's not a broken bone. It was just a tendon issue. Small arthroscopic surgery. Okay, so the fact that he didn't say that he said straight up what it was, it kind of sent some spider senses tingling in my body, and it made me think. That was my first reaction, was wow, that's crazy that he just openly said that, especially considering Tyreek Hill said it was a broken bone. Tyreek Hill's agent said it was a broken bone. It's not a broken bone. Mike McDaniel just came out and straight up challenged exactly what Tyreek Hill said. No, it's not a broken bone. He didn't just say it was a tendon issue. He said, no, it was not a broken bone. It's a tendon issue. Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to lay it down right now. I said before that I think that we should move on from Tyreek Hill. And I said that I wasn't sure it was going to happen. And knowing Miami Dolphins, they probably will end up keeping him. I'm going to change my stance here. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I think they're going to move him to a post-June 1st cut, or they're going to trade him post-June 1st. I'm ready for it to happen. With seeing this and seeing how Mike McDaniel handled the press conference today and the questions about Tyreek, and seeing everything that Tyreek has said and done, and how everything is kind of shaping up, it sure, especially with with Terron Armstead doing what he did with the post June 1st cut and leaving it open and taking a pay cut. This is telling me that he's setting up for Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins to go ahead and trade or cut Tyreek Hill. That's going to save us some money. There will be a little bit of a cap hit too, but it's going to save us money cutting Tyreek Hill. I think it's a good move. I think it has to happen at this point, especially with everything that other players have said, specifically what Terron Armstead said about Tyreek Hill, saying that he just can't do what he did. That's what Terron said. And now here we are, Terron taking a pay cut and leaving that post-June 1st cut spot open. I think it makes way too much sense, and there's way too many things lining up here. So I think that this is possibly the beginning of the end for Tyreek Hill in Miami. The whole "it wasn't a broken bone" thing is just a shocker to me, because that's Mike McDaniel straight up challenging Tyreek Hill, laying it down, not like straight up saying, yo, he's lying, but definitely being very point of fact and saying, no, it was not a broken bone, it's a tendon issue. It kind of made me smile, because that's what a coach who doesn't take any BS needs to do. He doesn't need to openly, complain and belittle a player, but he does need to let people know it's not going to be tolerated when they're dishonest. It was good to see. I'm glad Mike McDaniel said what he said and did what he did. So, that's kind of what I got today. I just wanted to touch on it all and make sure everybody, kind of, if you don't see what I see in this situation, at least now you understand where I'm coming from with it. We'll see how everything shapes up, but it looks like this is going to be an interesting offseason. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my messed up voice right now. I do appreciate you guys for coming in and listening to my videos. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. Stay hopeful, and fins up.